Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday morning edition of the Daily Market Commentary. I'm your host, Chuck Fulkerson of TradersArmy.com. I hope everybody had a great trading day yesterday as we are in the middle of the week. We saw a rally up yesterday after hitting our breakout point in the S&P, but then after hitting a supply level, we've come back down. So let's talk about what that looks like for today. If you're new to the channel, make sure you do me a favor. Click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I'd love it if you would just take 1 second, hit that thumbs up button, give us that much appreciated like, let the algorithms and the computers know that, people are watching and people do care. So that would be much appreciated. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. So the S&P this morning, we're down 53 points. Just a normal morning where we're down almost 2% to kick off the day as we are continuing our swings of volatility. This is the biggest pullback we've had in a couple of days in an overnight session, but let's look at what happened. Yesterday, we had our breakout, and our breakout worked up until our 15-minute supply level. Price hit that 15-minute supply level and then reversed right back down off of that zone. So, as we popped up above that breakout point, we saw a really nice move. Now we're seeing price come down off of that little 15-minute supply. Now, that 15-minute supply to me was a confirmation entry, so that didn't set up for a strong overnight opportunity. If you want to try to play this short today and you're not in it as of yet, you may get an opportunity for a breakdown below this line here. Give this one a shot. Now, you do have this area of demand right here. This is not a great time of day demand. It's 7 p.m., which is fairly weak. So I think that if you do get this short, I think that we could make it all the way down here to 27.44 as an opportunity. Now, we are getting we need a little bit of basing. I'd even want one more candle here of basing for that to actually show itself. If that doesn't happen, then look up here at a potential reversal. Now, our big picture trend is definitely still to the upside. Now, we talked about the fact that we're seeing weakening in that big picture trend, but until the market gives me a lower swing low and a lower swing high on the 4-hour chart, I need to continue to be a buyer. And so while I do have those two opportunities today, just know that those are still counter trend and slightly lower probability. So just keep that in mind. Know that your risk is slightly elevated to take those shorts. If we come back down, this area down here definitely could be a zone of demand where we see a bit of a bounce. Looking at that on like the 15-minute charts, I would look at this area right in here where I think we could see a bit of a bounce. So keep an eye on that zone. Now, if we break below there, then we can start to talk about looking for some short opportunities. Inside of the NASDAQ, so the NASDAQ, we had a potential, breakdown on this confirmation short, but this is why we use confirmation entries. The market just blew right through there, so no entry on that piece. It actually was the same spot as the breakout in the S&P. As far as what we're looking at right now, if that continues to break down, I will say we did have a little bit of a better long opportunity down here yesterday for a reversal than we do in the other markets. So if the S&P breaks down, keep an eye on this one for a potential reversal point right in here. Crude oil is continuing its move down, and we talked about this yesterday. There's no reason to be a buyer in crude. This was our target from our breakdown a couple of days ago, and some people have stayed in that short, and it got to 20, rallied up a little bit, and is continuing to fall. We had a confirmation long, but if you notice, we blew right through that confirmation long with absolutely no entry. So, where are we headed to now? Well, looking up a bit higher, we can see that we have this region right here for a potential reversal. We broke below that $20 strong level of support, and when I go pull back to the daily, that puts us now at a new low. We've set in a new low in crude oil in this most recent trend. So we had 3 strong up days giving us that rally back up, and now crude continues to fall a bit lower. So looking at where we may go, I think this is going to be a big drag on the equity markets as well. So let's see if we come down a little bit from here even further. Looking at this on a weekly chart, we've got to go back much further here. looking at this on a weekly chart, you're looking all the way down here at 2001 before we had any sort of demand that we can lean on, and it's this 1942 area. Now, do I think that there's a lot of orders left from there? No, those contracts don't even exist anymore, right? However, I think that the areas that existed back there could act as where people look at and say, okay, a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, and where people look for areas. Now, below there, that's that 2001. Below there, you start to get down into this region here at about 16, and 1744 is really that next zone on a weekly chart. So, can we make it all the way down to here? Sure, we can. And that would be the lowest point in crude oil, I want to say, since Bill Clinton was in office here in the U.S. So that's quite a big move down. And then from that point, your next stopping point comes down here at 12. Do we think that oil can get to 12? Oof, I don't know. But at some level, I think it's definitely telling us this: don't be a buyer. Wait for price to rally up to a supply zone. Now, we might get a buying opportunity down here, and you go candle to candle if you want to try to trade the corrective move back up, because if you look at our last corrective move for a short-term trader, that 20 to 28, that's a heck of a move. Even one contract makes you a really nice return if you're going to hold it the whole way, right? Okay. Next, we're looking at gold. So in gold, we had a breakdown yesterday. Got a nice little breakdown in gold, and it broke down to our demand area, but then it came and didn't quite reach our demand zone. So upon slightly missing our demand zone, we got to switch to a confirmation entry, and then overnight, we popped right through that level. So our breakdown worked until our demand area, and then our demand area would switch to a confirmation, gave us no entry. On our 4-hour, we are still in an uptrend, but putting in a lot of momentum weakening, right? So a fair amount of weakening momentum. What I'm going to do is put a line across here. To me, this is my line in the sand. I'm not really looking to be much of a seller until I break below here, because that's my swing highs and swing lows that I need to pay attention to. If you want to try a short today, and we see the rest of pretty much everything else falling, you can try a short at this level here, knowing that it's much, much, much higher risk, only because of what our big picture direction is doing. But it's a good time of day, and it's relatively low risk compared to some of the markets that we've been coming up against recently. So I think the only way you can get in on this is if you use it as a confirmation entry, because it is still counter trend. All right, next, moving over to the bonds and currency markets. Bonds and currency markets. So we had a rally up above our breakout point in the ZN. So leave me a comment below. Let me know if you caught that breakout to the upside in the bonds. Didn't quite get super close basing, but a little bit of basing down here gave you the opportunity to get in, and it's rallied up to its target. So now we're looking to see, are we going to get a bit of a pullback from that target area? If I go to this daily chart, you can see we're closing up on a new all-time high. And so as we're closing up on that new all-time high, if we get a pullback from here, I don't know how much further down it would go. I need to look to the 15-minute to say, okay, well, on a 15-minute chart, where's my clean reversal point? I was looking to see if there was any clean wick over wicks on the 15-minute, maybe right through here, but it doesn't look like there are any. So that's a pretty good reversal point right here on that small time frame. Remember your 6 candle rule. We're finding this level on a 15-minute time frame. So if we come into here, you only get 6 candles before it starts moving your direction. Why is that important? Well, that's important because if you look at this one, we found this one on the 1-hour chart. So we have 1, 2, 3. We're at our 4th candlestick, literally just started, as it's 6 a.m. Central here in the U.S. So we started our 4th candlestick. If this one, we start to print and it doesn't really go anywhere, we're going to move that stop. All right, in the Aussie. So in the Aussie, we came into our confirmation short. I will say this one may or may not have gotten you filled, depending on where you had your confirmation in. I missed it by a few ticks, unfortunately, as it didn't quite trade all the way into the middle of my confirmation zone, and then just sold off all day. It was actually a really good setup. came back down into our limit area for a demand area and blew right through that zone. So since that has blown through, I need to remove that level, although I think that level still may have some validity in the future, as well as the one up above. So that's one of the more frustrating ones when your shorts make that entry and then your long just barely misses. So now we're looking at this area up in here as a potential reversal. We're sitting right at a little wick over wick. There's a little wick over wick area right in here where we still might get another shot for a reversal down in that zone. On our 4 hour, we can see that we are technically still in an uptrend. Our uptrend has not ended. Just because we get a big pullback doesn't mean our uptrend is over. It's just a pullback on the on that upward trend. However, when demand levels start failing, we know that that level is getting significantly weaker. All right, inside the euro, so our euro level, this one came and based just a bit outside, as Bob Euchre would say, of our supply zone, just barely missing entry, coming really close to it before then selling off. Our next demand zone is still this area down in here. We actually have been kind of between those areas of supply and demand for a while. And so now what I'm going to do is just look at just before this most recent drop we've had here in the last hour as a potential little reversal point. Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollar yesterday, we did get a bounce off of the level. And then if we look at it on a 15-minute perspective, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After 6 candles, it had gone nowhere, which then says, okay, take your stop, move it to break even. Price did wind up giving us about a 3-to-1 move out of that level before coming back down in the overnight sessions and blowing through that zone. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this zone on for a moment. And I'll go back to the 1 hour. I'm going to leave it on for the moment, even though we broke through it. And the reason I'm going to leave it on is because this could become a flip. So I'm going to just change this to, I don't know, a gold color, which is not a color I normally use. But I'm going to leave this in here as a potential. Let's just see what this does when it when it comes to looking for a flip level. But crude oil is very much, influencing what's happening in the Canadian dollar. And so if we get a little rally up, look to this little wick over wick here, which is kind of in the middle of this big run down. And if not, I think this is a quality level. So there's a fair amount of supply levels up above us. Next, we're going to look at our Japanese yen and Great British Pound. So if I look here at the Great British Pound, what we can see is prices are coming down. We had our basing area right in here, so we are getting a bit of basing inside of this zone. This could be a decent breakdown. We've got 1, 2, we haven't really gotten officially 3 touches as of yet, and so if you don't want to take the breakout and you're waiting for a reversal opportunity, you can look above right up into here. Now, a lot of these are rolling over because the dollar was coming to an area of demand, which is why all of these rolled over once the dollar gave us a bit of a bounce, right? And so that's kind of where we're seeing all these currencies roll over. Japanese yen, we came up into our area of confirmation short, gave us a pop through the level without really giving us an entry opportunity, and then we based below our breakdown. So that breakout is still valid in there, and then our demand area exists up above here. We do have this little area of demand as well, but I like the one below it a bit better. So I'm not going to mark this one off in here. So overall, we've got a fair amount of opportunities for today, knowing that our trend hasn't really changed direction, so just keep that in mind. And we are still looking at this area down here for potential breakdown if you want to catch today's, little bit of a move down into one of these areas of demand. But until we see tomorrow, we'll let you know. So if you guys have any questions, as always, send us an email, support@tradersarmy.com. Tonight is an open forum session at tradersarmy.com. So if you have any questions you want to ask, please go to tradersarmy.com today, become a member, and join us in our open forum. It's a chance for you to come and ask any questions and pick the brains of our senior traders. But until tomorrow, everybody, have a great day. I'll see you.